Hello and welcome back to Best Bets. What's going on? I am Matt O'Leary, normally joined by Joe Manniello of Newsday, but your boy, me, hand up, made a mistake. What I did was we recorded on Wednesday like we normally do. When I went to edit on Friday, I realized that I screwed up the audio file of the call with Joe. So instead, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through our picks, just me solo. I'll give you my reasons why I'm making the picks, and then I will give you Joe's picks as well. And we are changing up how we're doing it slightly. And not that it really matters for you, but we're using a different site for the lines now. So it's actually kind of a good thing that we're re-recording because the lines changed for us. So if you missed it, last week 1-4 for me, 8-22-1. Joe went 2-3, 14-16-1. So I need a bounce back week. Joe's looking to get back over 500. So Jets and the Patriots, both Joe and I are on the Patriots -7. And when you look at this matchup, the Jets have struggled mightily going on the road to New England, especially over the last 5 years, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. They've scored a combined 40 points. That's an average of 8 points in those games. It's not going to be enough to cover the number. I know 7 is relatively high, especially when you consider that the Patriots are a 2-4 team. It's not like they're some phenomenal football team, but still, at this point, Bill Belichick, 13-0 at home against rookie quarterbacks. Until somebody proves that they could beat Bill as a rookie in New England, I'm not betting against it. Joe feels the exact same way. They have been in all their games, the Patriots, so while they're 2-4, they've given a pretty good fight to the Tampa Bay Bucks, to Dallas Cowboys, and just, I don't think it's a good matchup for the Jets. We are both on the Patriots -7. Giants and Panthers. I'm taking the Panthers -3. Joe is taking the Giants +3. The reason why I am going with the Carolina Panthers is I do not trust this New York Giants team. Yes, the Panthers have struggled mightily, especially the last few weeks, as Sam Darnold turned over the football a whole lot. But when you look at this Giants defense, they can't stop the run. They are 4th worst in the NFL at trying to stop the run. And this past week, Matt Rule pretty much said, okay, we got to get back to our identity of running the football. So I think it's going to be a big week for the run game. And maybe this ends up turning out to be a push and like a 20-17 kind of a game. But I just don't think the Giants win this game. I don't. They haven't proven anything to me. They lost to the Falcons at home. They lost to Denver at home. The Giants just aren't that good. It hurts to say because New York football is absolutely brutal right now, but I, in my heart of hearts, cannot justify taking the New York Giants, especially with their deficiencies on defense when it comes to stopping the run. Maybe a Sam Darnold turnover keeps the Giants in this game. As Jet fans, we probably should be rooting for the Giants because every time the Panthers lose, it helps the Jets draft capital. So I am taking the Panthers -3. Joe is on the Giants +3. As for the Ravens and the Bengals, that's our game of the week. Both Joe and I are on the Bengals +6.5. That number is just too high. Cincinnati has played really good football this year. Every single one of their games has been tight, even their losses. So I think this is a close game. Joe thinks the same thing. Even though, the Ravens are probably the better team and probably end up winning this game, I just think it's a field goal difference. Like, would it surprise anyone if Justin Tucker hits a late game-winning field goal in overtime or late in the 4th? No. I think Joe Burrow has this team, the Bengals, playing their best football that we've seen in a really long time. I'm not the biggest Zach Taylor guy, but I think there's a little bit of an overreaction to the Ravens' big-time performance against the Browns last week and a little disrespectful to the Bengals just because, listen here, I know they're not the household name. Ravens have had their number for a while here, but this game's going to be closer than a lot of people think. As for best bets, so I am going with the Bears +12.5. They're taking on Tampa Bay. I just don't think this is a blowout. I don't think the Chicago Bears win this game, but I look at this number and think with the secondary in the state that it is for Tampa Bay, wouldn't this be Justin Fields' breakout game? Can't Justin Fields put up some points? I think this is, maybe Tampa Bay wins by 6 points, a touchdown, somewhere in that range, but essentially having to win by 2 touchdowns with the number being at 12.5. I just don't see it. I know it's a home game for Tampa Bay. They wrecked the Miami Dolphins at home, but Chicago's actually played pretty well at points, especially when Justin Fields has kind of got into his groove the last couple of weeks. I think they score enough to keep this one close. Do they win? No. Should they cover this big number? Absolutely. Joe's going with the Raiders -3. They seem a little bit rejuvenated after firing John Gruden. They looked good last week against Denver. This week, -3. Have a good shot at covering that number, so that's his best bet. As for underdog pick, I am going Titans +4.5 against Kansas City. Kansas City never covers. They just don't. And the Tennessee Titans are coming off a huge win over the Buffalo Bills. They looked really, really good, and I'm not necessarily sold that the Titans win this game. I mean, maybe they do. It wouldn't be the most shocking thing in the world, but Kansas City just never covers, man. I think this is a close one, maybe a 3-point game, something like that. A late field goal for Kansas City ends up winning it in the end, but if this number being more than 3 makes me lean towards the Tennessee Titans, and I wouldn't be surprised if they won. I'm not picking them money line, but with the number being 4.5, absolutely, I would ride them out. And Joe is going with the Washington football team +9.5 against Green Bay. He thinks that Green Bay is going to look ahead of this team with their matchup coming up in week 8 at this point. He thinks they're going to overlook, and there's going to be a closer game. Like, for instance, last year, the Jacksonville Jaguars gave the Green Bay Packers in Green Bay a run for their money late in the season. So maybe they just overlook Washington. So to run through these again real quick, we are both on the Patriots -7. I'm on the Panthers -3. Joe is on the Giants +3. Both on the Bengals +6.5. My best bet, Bears +12.5. Joe is going Raiders -3. And underdog pick, Titans +4.5 over Kansas City. And Joe is going Washington +9.5 against Green Bay. Sorry for the change in how we've done this. Again, it's my fault. We'll be back next week. As always, make sure to tune in then. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'll talk to you next time.